Welcome, everybody, to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy-looking Nerf Herders. This is, in fact, a live YouTube streaming video podcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans. And today, we're going to be reflecting back on the Book of Boba Fett.
Reflect.
Yeah. Yes.
I tried to watch the whole series again, and I couldn't do it.
I fucking did not at all. But the way I look at it is I had seen every episode at least 4 or 5 times anyways, so I got a pretty decent understanding of it.
It's weird because if you just took, like, the best bits of each episode for all, I think there were 7 of them, you could have one really kick-ass episode.
Right.
And that's kind of it. Because everything else, it just, I don't know, like, during it felt really nice and, you know, airy, and we were exploring Boba and everything, but I don't know. It's like, I don't think it holds up, if I'm being honest, like, at all.
Yeah, my worry about going back through it, I mean, I just straight up ran out of time. That's why I didn't get a chance to. Wasn't so much like, did I like it more than I should have? It was more so, God, do I really want to go through watching that mod bullshit again? Yeah,
just that one thing.
Pretty much, it's like everything else. Like I do love the backstory, his interactions with the Tuskens. I mean, that's phenomenal, especially the fucking snot lizard part. Like, I still want to fucking do a snot lizard. That sounds fantastic.
It sounds pretty amazing. Yeah. It seems like it would hurt initially.
Yeah, I don't care. Man, I put so much shit up my nose. I don't think it's gonna hurt any worse than any of that.
Yeah. So we've been doing these retrospectives after every season of a show, a series, or after a trilogy of films has been released. And really, you know, the way we like to go about this is examine what worked about the series or the films, what didn't work, maybe what the directors or the producers were trying to do, and just examine some of the themes and stuff. So I guess because I think anyone who would be watching this video of us is certainly going to have watched this series already. So we don't really need a recap, you know, episode by episode or anything, but we should at least, let me give the log line for those, because the log line is supposed to be what the entirety of the series is about. And so that should give us a clue as to how the producers were thinking when they were, you know, having this thing fleshed out. So the log line is: bounty hunter Boba Fett and mercenary Fennec Shand navigate the underworld when they return to Tatooine to claim Jabba the Hutt's old turf. And if that happened, it would have been awesome.
That would have been really fucking cool.
That sounds dope as shit.
That was like half an episode.
That didn't happen at all. Like,
no, I mean, they kind of did. I mean, they were in the underground part of Jabba's castle at one point.
That's true.
So
there was like one sit-down scene with all of the different. They weren't just like mob bosses, ostensibly, and that was it. That was the underworld,
and it was pointless.
It was totally pointless. It was stupid. It was just like,
it led nowhere.
Hey, we all need to work to save our planet. And everyone's like, we're not going to work with you. And he's like, okay, see ya.
No, stay out of my way.
That was it.
Fuck you, guy.
So
yeah.
Oh, I wish they would have watched The Godfather or just The Goodfellas or any Donnie fucking Brasco
for fucking Casino, for Christ's sake. Yeah.
Anything just to know what an actual underground mob story is like, because the setup is not what we got at all. What we got was a guy who went through so much mass trauma, he decided to change the trajectory of his entire life, do something that his new personality would never have even worked at. And if it wasn't for his supposed sidekick, Fennec Shand, he would have died.
Yeah.
And failed.
Almost every episode.
Very frustrating watching this because, you know, we got that really iconic scene at the end of Mandalorian Season 2 where he, you know, kills
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna, thank you. And then just like sits down on his throne like a badass, like man-spreading.
That's what we were promised, and we did not get that at all. Well, okay. Season finale, I feel like we kind of got it, but
I don't even think we got it then. Like we had
the fucking Rancor scene, like that was fucking brutal.
That was
but then he
awesome.
like falls off or whatever. I just
I don't even mind that because we'd never seen him ride a Rancor before. He probably, he had that harness on and he sat in it once to see if it would fit or something. And
Mhm.
he's like, "Yep, my butt fits in the mold like a bantha." Like so many weird little scenes that he put out, and just I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about where it ended up going and not what we were promised, because it is an interesting story,
Mhm.
if albeit flawed, that we were actually given, which does not match up with the log line.
Yeah.
So where do you think the truth of this series was, rather than what we were told?
Well, I mean, it was other than, or not other than, but like instead of it being that, it was his journey. Like basically, it was their way of saying, "Hey, this is what happened," because he didn't fucking die, obviously,
Yeah.
and now here he is. But it really was like only two parts of that, because this is what, 20 years after Return of the Jedi?
No, I think
Or
it's 7.
Sorry, I meant A New Hope.
Oh, right.
Anyways, yeah, so this is like just under a decade, and he had two things happen to him in under a decade. It's like, come on. I feel like if they were going to do that, like they were going to do a transitional journey,
Yeah.
they should have just like done the fucking journey. Like I seriously, I would have been fine with an entire season of him just sort of like, showing up, doing a couple of things, talking to somebody, going to his back to tank, or his back to tank, and then spending the next 30 minutes doing a flashback scene. Like
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoyed those, and I would have loved to have seen not so much a montage growth, but like an actual growth of characters, actual acceptance into the clan, and how they fucking ran the essentially the Dune Sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Be
that
really
would have been
interesting.
cool. That would have made sense. That would have been season 1, Book of Boba Fett. Second season, that's when they get to the present day and give us the turf war. I think it might have been a little bit cooler. I mean, sans the fucking mods; those are pointless
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely is not the fucking log line.
We got more mods in this series, this 7-episode series, than we got in every film ever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Well,
weird.
because there were no mods.
It's
They
just,
fucking created it.
I
For
mean,
this
they had,
stupid show.
Lando's partner. What was that guy's name?
Lobot wasn't really a mod.
What?
No, that's mods do it because they're fucking turds. It's like, oh, we want tattoos, but we don't want to look cool, so let's
Right.
get a fucking useless robot hand or
Let me
useless
put my
robot eye, so I can see across the street. Yeah, guys, she's over
Hey,
there.
look, she's right there. Everyone's like, yeah, we saw already. What is that eye for? What is this?
Well, and it's still like, that's the thing about these last two shows. Like, they are doing some shit in Star Wars that has never been a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like in Mandalorian, which I'm not bitching about this part because I don't give a flying fuck. But like, they changed up how the Mandalorian armor is, because there was like a strict set of, you have to have this, 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 and this to be a Mandalorian. Otherwise, you just look like you stole someone's armor. You can have additional shit, but you have to have these base items.
Right.
And first time we see Din, he doesn't have those base items, so that was kind of like, what the fuck.
Right.
But with this, we got zippers. Like, there has been articles written about how, like, you get yelled the fuck at if you're trying to bring in real world shit, like, visible Velcro, zippers, buttons, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then there's just somebody in a fucking leather vest. Like,
yeah.
Man, fucking weird.
See, that stuff I would never have picked up on, so I'm glad you...
I'm fucking loser, so I picked up on it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately what we were given was not even what they tried to give us. It seemed was this moment of a character that no one really knows anything about it unless you read comics. A character who had seemingly, been resurrected. He survived a catastrophic consumption by the great Carcoon Pit, And he came out on the other side, sort of reborn and trying to find it where he fits into the galaxy now.
Mm.
You know, it was through his journey with the Tusken Raiders, with the Sand People, that he actually learned who he was, and he didn't need to hold on to all the baggage that he was really living his life for, which was revenge and trying to be his father. And he realized he didn't have to be that anymore. He could be whomever he wants to be and sort of redefine himself. But the problem is that though that seemed to me to be the theme of the series, it didn't really pay off in any meaningful way.
No.
You know, everything we knew about Boba Fett up until this point was he just sort of stood around and he was a huge threat that everyone was afraid of. Again, unless you read comics. And then we see him in Mandalorian season 2, and he is a force to be reckoned with. But
Yeah.
at that point, he had already gone through everything. So how do they mesh what we were given in season 2 Mandalorian with the book of Boba Fett, which we were getting? Because they were two very different characters, it seemed.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he never unleashed the rage that was clearly still there, and it was really at the exact same time. Like, we're talking moments later, because most of the series was seen in flashbacks for the first, I think, 5 episodes or 4 episodes, and then it was all just from that moment on, sort of present time moving forward. I don't know. It's like they were different characters entirely, and the growth that they were trying to teach, they were trying to present to us as the viewers, was not what we were shown.
No, definitely not.
I don't know. And so even now, with that sort of in mind, reflecting back and watching it again, I have a hard time watching it because it just doesn't add up. But again, there are these like vignette moments. So if you just take the first 4 episodes and strip away all of the present day stuff and just focus on his survival from the pit and his coming to terms about who he is and who he wants to be, that's a great story. And if you contained it within that, I think I love Dances with Wolves. I love The Last Samurai. I love those types of films that really let someone from the outside immerse themselves in a whole new culture and find the beauty of that culture. But you can't mix that in with a poorly written mob story.
Right.
Really designed in a Star Trekian universe. Like, those mods are pure Star Trek. That is not a Star Wars function.
No.
So I don't know. It was trying to be too many things. And though they had, this is actually the first failing narratively, I think, that Favreau and Filoni have ever had. Because up until this point, they've been batting 1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you fall in line with that idea, though, that they were trying to tell that narrative of him coming into his own, sort of redefining himself?
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious because I mean even just from him being like, "Oh, I don't do that anymore," or whatever, like trying to not rule like an actual fucking mob boss, which is through fear. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. It's like, well, why the fuck not? You're the fucking daimyo of Tatooine. Like, fucking be a hard hitter. Like, come on, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, do the job that you're trying to.
And even after the whole like final battle where they fuck up the pikes and shit, he still is like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Fennec Shan's like, "Just eat the fucking melon and fuck right off. Come on, kid. Let's do some shit. Let's be bosses.
Eat your fucking melon." That's gonna be like the new get your shine box. Just eat your fucking melon. What did you say? Go get your fucking shine box. Oh, dude, if Joe Pesci just showed up.
I wouldn't even give a shit in what context. That'd just be awesome.
He just starts working for Boba Fett.
Like, they've already kind of like shit the bed with cameos and stuff, because like Star Wars always was really good about doing subtle cameos where they didn't like throw it in your face. But with the fucking main mod guy, like that one musician, I guess, like they shit the bed with that. So it's like, at this point, whatever. Why the fuck wouldn't they just have Joe Pesci playing Joe Pesci in it?
be great.
Like, they don't even need him as a character. Just have him show up in whatever the fuck he's wearing that day to set, and have him say, man, and fucking walk off or whatever.
It's no more jarring than the mods.
No,
You know?
I think it would be less jarring than the mods. I'd just be like, hey, and then move on with my life.
Just stabbing people in the throat with a big pen, like a clicking pen. They're like, where'd he get that? Who
Hey,
has
think a fucking
pens?
bunny?
Yeah, it'd be fucking great.
That would be.
Yeah, I just wish there was. If they did like first half, second half of the season to sort of help break that up, but the fact that they tried to mesh the two stories of past and present over a series of 7 episodes, it just didn't feel right to me.
The problem was it wasn't 7 episodes though. Like, the problem was they were trying to do 2 seasons worth of story in the shortest season of something that they've done.
Yeah.
Like 7 fucking episodes, but it's not really 7 episodes. They gave it 4 episodes.
Mhm.
Because episode 5, that's when Din shows up and he's being a fucking badass.
It's
And
all
then
him.
the rest of the season is, Mandalorian season 2.5. And I feel like that's really where the failing was. Like, yeah, the writing was garbage. Yeah, the fucking mods. Like, I will take that shit to my grave with how much I hate them. Just that'll probably be my final words is fucking mods. And then I'm gone.
Etch it on your tombstone.
But I feel like if they would have set it up like did a 14 episode season, which isn't unreasonable because it's fucking Disney and they got the fucking
They can
money.
do whatever they want. Yeah.
You do first half is all the transitional shit. Him and doing his flashbacks, us understanding where he's coming from, why he's doing what he's doing. Because I think that's really the biggest problem is they weakly explained why he's trying to be a good guy, but still be the mob boss.
Yeah.
I want to find that moment where it like definitively is like, oh, this is why I can't be a fucking peckerhead anymore. Like, this is why I need to be a good guy, but this is why I still need to, be the ruler of this place. And I don't feel like we really got that. I mean, yeah, his homies died, but like, that's not going to make me fucking think, oh, I need to be a good guy. No, that's going to make me go after some fucking heads.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have a trophy case of people's jaws. Like, why the fuck wouldn't I? And I really feel like that's the biggest downfall, especially with the last 3 episodes, because that's when it became The Mandalorian, not Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think they would have been able to pull it off without bringing Din in?
No,
Just...
it was necessary because ultimately, I mean, there's no confirmation, but I'm pretty sure this is just a one-off.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's literally just a bridge from season 2 to season 3. So, like, I didn't think it was a bad idea that they brought him in, and of course, like, those are the best episodes. And I mean, fuck, after episode 5, it's like I just want to see what Howard will do with her own Star Wars movie, or even her own Star Wars trilogy. Like, I want to.
I think she'd be great. I think
she'd
just be great.
Yeah, she's already an amazing director to begin with. Like, even non-Star Wars shit. Yeah, that'd be so awesome.
I think if they would have just stripped away the Mandalorian, the Luke Skywalker, the Grogu stuff, and they actually played in more to the Sand People side of it, so that, like, there's tons of different clans. It's not just like that one clan is the only Sand People clan, in the Dune Sea. And it was even addressed directly by the Sand People that they were just one of many. If he would have then relied on them to be, like, he had that one clan's back, if his reputation would have spread amongst all the different Sand People, and then they would have been the thing to come back and help him take control of the city and sort of liberate the planet from the toxic involvement of the Pikes. To me, that would have made infinitely more sense and would have been much more of a satisfying end to this series, because he's literally brought to life by these people again, and then it's them who end up saving him, but by doing that, he's helping them save the planet that they've been claiming for eons. So it creates this nice full circle feel. Instead, they're relying on these little short blip flashbacks about him being a child watching his dad go off to work, or him holding his dad's head after Mace Windu does his badass shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they don't really play into that side of it, where
Yeah.
he's bent on revenge against the one Jedi who he will never have an opportunity to exact that revenge. And then there's like these little elements about Cad Bane coming back. Well, if you're going to bring back Cad Bane, we need to have a little bit of context to that, give us some flashbacks, live action flashbacks to what we got in the actual Clone Wars, to give us those little tangible connective tissues, the gluten, as it were, to help make this damn show make sense.
Well, and especially because there's a lot of people, like I know people, people that are Star Wars fans that have never seen Clone Wars, that have never seen Rebels, that have never watched that shit. And it's like, yeah, he's a cool fucking character just of his own accord, but like you kind of got to have some context. Like he is the reason there's a fucking dent in Boba Fett's helmet, like that iconic dent. Like that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah. It would have made that standoff moment so much more impactful at the very end, where he's like, "Oh my gosh, you almost took me out. We are these rivals that we're both legendary in the galaxy." Like, play that up. Give us that old school moment, But instead, I don't know. We had him facing off, but Cad Bane just made him his bitch.
That was pretty good.
He just put him down like a dog. And I don't know, even though, Boba Fett came out on top in the end, I thought it was kind of shitty. I don't know. What are your, like, the most impactful moments of this season for you about this show?
All right.
That made it worth it.
First and foremost, the Rancor scene.
Yeah.
Like it I don't give a fuck. Like that alone makes this series watchable for me.
Yep.
It's like a striptease, and then that's the blowjob afterwards. You don't need everything before, but it does make that a little bit better. Yeah. Like that, I could just watch that clip on loop for hours and be totally happy. The moment where Cad Bane's coming up, like, I mean, admittedly, I had it ruined for me, which is my own stupid fault. I shouldn't have gone on the interwebs that morning until I had watched it.
Damn interweb.
But still, like, even if I hadn't had it spoiled for me, I would have known that silhouette and I would have had the same reaction. Like, that was just like, I don't fucking care how stupid the show is. That's awesome. And then, just that episode 5 in general, like, that was a solid fucking episode. And that was the first time we actually got like a cinematic feel in this series. Yeah. Which like, on reflection, I really think that's the problem. When we got episodes of The Mandalorian, it felt cinematic. It felt big. Like, even if it was a really contained episode, it was just shot like it was a fucking movie. Whereas with the Book of Boba Fett, a lot of it just feels like, just a serial TV show. And that kind of just did a lot of, disservice to it. Try and think what else. Just like the dumb interactions with Grogu. Like, it was, none of it was necessary. We knew they were going to be back together, but it was still so great to see. Especially the training. That shit was hilarious. And
I love that so much. Oh my god.
Like, that's all we want with Star Wars, is that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about, Luke Skywalker later in the show. But yeah, just seeing him in this, it was like a serious left turn, but I loved the left turn. I thought it was great. When I try to focus, sort of encapsulating this season around Boba Fett, I think the most impactful moments are him literally escaping the Sarlacc pit. I thought that was so well done, and I was so impressed just visually how it turned out. And then the Jawa like knocking his ass out. It was just like, he's hurt, he's barely alive, and yes, a Jawa would steal your shit. Like, of course they would. That's what they do.
That's 100%.
And to their, to their credit, they know he just escaped that damn Sarlacc pit. Like, they
Mhm.
live there. They must know that who that is and, everything. There's no way he would have lived. So they're like, yeah, he's going to die anyway. Let's take his shit.
Mhm.
But then just the time that he spent with the Sand People and learning their ways and, just our learning their ways as well. I thought that was really, really interesting, really fun. I think everything that has to do with Boba Fett being a daimyo sucked.
Yeah.
None of it really
Completely.
makes any sense. He wants to be this mob boss, but he doesn't want to be a mob boss, like a
Mhm.
mean one, but you can't be a mob boss without making those decisions that make you look like a mean guy.
Exactly.
And then the Hutts coming in and then just like, we don't want to deal with the Pikes, so see ya. Here's a Rancor. Here's, you can keep this Wookiee. None
Yeah.
of that made sense to me, but I'm glad that the Wookiee was in there because I thought Black Chrysanthemum was a really great part of this because
Mhm.
I'd never read those comics, so I didn't know anything about him before he showed up. And just
Oh,
seeing
you
that,
hadn't even read like the Afro ones?
no, I didn't.
Oh,
I still haven't read the Afro ones.
dude.
I
Well, I
want
mean,
to.
fuck. There's an audiobook version of the Afro comics.
Oh,
It's
really?
honestly, it's worth checking out. I think.
Okay. I kind of have these little secret like wish list that, and her live action series is on it. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to
Fuck
read
yeah.
anything because if that ever happened, I want to go in fresh. But then I don't know. I kind of want to know
I
more about her.
I'll be honest. Like with how woke Disney is and shit, I could see it happening because I
I
mean
hope.
she's a strong female lead, but she's also a lesbian, so kind of hits all the boxes. But I mean, as a character, like she's an amazing fucking character, and I would love to see a live action version of her because it's fucking Indiana Jones,
Exactly.
but Star Wars
With
and
like
like
Sith
that's
artifacts and shit. Like that's
yeah,
dope.
and she fucking fights with Vader. Like she's a
God.
fucking badass. Like I want to see that. Desperately want to see that.
I will have to check out that comic series though. They must have a bunch of trade paperbacks for that, right? By now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's done and out. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out because I know the story is still ongoing. Like there's
Hmm.
still, there's new stuff that is constantly released with that. But all right, um, and then finally with what I think really makes this worthwhile is seeing his connection, and this may because we're both animal lovers. I think you're probably much more of an animal lover than I am, but just seeing that connection between a human being and another creature,
Hmm.
we know what that's like. We know how that feels. And it felt good watching it on screen, especially because I love Rancors and Rancors are just
Hmm.
dope as hell. So seeing him, not only connecting with it on a sort of like almost a puppy dog level, and then change that around to him riding the thing into battle, though the context of those battle scenes made little sense,
Yeah.
seeing it happen was awesome.
Yeah, it didn't need logic at all.
It's
Like
like,
logic would have been him showing up with Slave One
yeah,
and blasting some motherfuckers,
which would
or not even blasting motherfuckers, just dropping a depth charge. That's
yeah.
it. Just boom, everybody's done. Okay, I win. I'm Daimyo,
Like that's all you had to do is one of them,
but
and the
that wouldn't.
entire Pike Syndicate's
Yeah,
gone.
wouldn't have been as exciting.
Yeah.
So, yay for story instead of logic.
Story instead of logic, yeah. Wait, yay for action sequence.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Over logic. So that made it work for me. I think.
Mhm.
What do you think are the greatest pitfalls? We've hit it on a couple of them sort of disparately through the conversation, but what do you think are some of the greatest problems with this series?
So my biggest problem, and it's not the mod surprisingly, I fucking hate them, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it felt rushed. Like they were trying to do too much story in too little of time.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think even if they would have added, 3 more episodes just to kind of stretch out that first half of the season,
Yeah.
I think we probably wouldn't be shitting on it as much as we are. At least I'm sure I wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it's just like, oh man, he's got all this important backstory, and this is how he rose, this is how he got to where he was, but just hit the fast forward button. Like that's what
Yeah.
it felt like to me.
It was just a series of missed opportunities. It felt like.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it
yeah.
would have been fine if he went into it the way he did, saying, I want to rule, but I want to rule with respect, and then
Mhm,
realizing that you can't do that.
mhm.
And then him, being this super badass, returning to his roots and saying, you know what? this doesn't fit me anymore. And so I'm going to move on, and I'm not even going to pretend to be the daimyo anymore. I'm just going to go and do my own thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that would have made sense because it takes a character who goes through a life altering experience, tries to change who he is and realizes that that's not him,
Mm-hmm.
as much as he wants to be this better person, it's just not in his DNA at this late moment in his life, as Cad Bane kept saying. So you just go back to your roots and be who you always have been. That would have been a greater sequence. Again, you would have needed a couple more episodes, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would have been a much more satisfying series instead of him ultimately coming down to being less than he ever was and what no one wants him to be.
Yeah, including himself.
Yeah.
And he even says so in the end of the series.
Ugh. Ugh.
Like
Yeah.
it should have been him being like, yeah, fuck this, I gotta kick rocks, and Fennec Shand being like, whatever, I've been fucking owning this town anyways, so I'll take over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she would have been a great, just mob boss to step in and fill that
Mhm.
void. But I don't know. I think they're going to latch them together in ongoing seasons of Mandalorian,
Probably.
unfortunately.
Like, and that's the thing. I really wonder if they are going to end up doing another season of the Book of Boba Fett, or if it'll just be like one-off episodes in the Mandalorian.
The
Which is
thing
like,
is, like, I think they could redeem themselves if they went hard with the mob story because there's no way it's over.
no,
I
fuck
mean,
no. They only killed a few pikes.
yeah.
Like, this is a syndicate. There's more than like 20 or 30 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like even killing like the representative, like that's a fucking representative. That's not the boss. That's not like the head motherfucker.
Yeah,
That's
he's
just
just a
some dude that's
lieutenant.
like, oh yeah, I'm here because someone's got to watch this shit and take the money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to see that done further because it felt like it was very unsatisfying when you realize, God, they really didn't put up much of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
They had some fucking, discount Power Rangers and a giant monster take out a crime organization that's feared the galaxy over. Like everybody is fucking scared of them, including the goddamn Hutts, which are untouchable, like literally untouchable creatures.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
it makes you think like there's no way. I mean, would they just end it because, it didn't get great reviews. It got pretty good reviews and it got good viewership.
mm-hmm.
But Star Wars fans aren't really super excited about it. We're not jazzed
Yeah.
about it. It's not like it's the sequel trilogy, which really divided the fan base.
Yeah.
But it is just sort of like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll have some vanilla ice cream. It's still ice cream, but it's just like, meh, okay,
right.
well, it's ice cream.
Man, I feel like I should have the chat up right now to see if my wife's yelling at you.
She's not why she loves vanilla.
Yeah.
I do too, to be honest. But I like adding things to vanilla to make it good. All right. So, what do you think this means about the future of this sort of Filoni verse that's happening right now?
I think this is going to be their failed experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and they learn from their mistakes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because it just, and the problem is, I feel like because it was more so someone else's project that they were just sort of spearheading because they're executive producers and shit and write some of the stuff. I feel like that was the problem. Like Robert Rodriguez really shit the fucking bed.
Oh yeah.
And that makes me sad. Very, very sad. But I think hopefully from here on out, they really hold in the reins a bit more. Because I mean, ultimately, if this is the worst that we get out of the Filoniverse, I'm fine with that. Because in a whole, I really did like the series. I mean, I don't think it added much depth to any of the characters. I don't think it really added much of anything other than some really fucking cool scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hope it is all uphill from here, especially with the subject matter that they're going to be tackling and the characters they're going to be tackling. Like,
oh yeah.
I really hope it's all uphill from here.
Yeah, I mean, I would be thrilled if this was the worst it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like you said, it's not horrible. It's just not good.
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, and it did have some great moments in it too, and that's what really, you know, elevated it to that good status rather than like, ooh, I will never watch this again. But yeah, I'm with you. If this is the worst, I'm a happy person because it
Right.
still had elements that were wonderful, and the truth is we don't always get what we want. So it's
Yeah,
Star
we
Wars.
just have to deal with its bullshit.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. We're still gonna watch it. I don't, you know, as bad as it may get, those shitty Lego holiday specials that we got, like I still am gonna watch them.
Hey, those are fucking fun. I loved them. I mean,
I
not
think
so
the
much
Halloween
the
one
holiday
was better, but
like the Life Day special, but the Halloween one was dope as hell.
yeah, I like the Halloween one a lot.
That one I still watch that pretty regularly.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I love it. It's so stupid.
Oh,
And
man.
I desperately want to make that skeleton trooper costume, but like actual Lego trooper costume. Ah, that'd be so awesome. So awesome.
I so desperately want them to do Death Troopers as a live action.
Yeah.
That would be so amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah, I would. I'd probably just kill myself afterwards.
Do
because
Red Harvest
life would
and
not
then,
get better.
oh man, that would be so good. Everyone would love it.
Harvest,
Everyone.
yeah, Blood Harvest or whatever.
Yeah.
Red Harvest. There
Red
we
Harvest,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, god damn it, that would just be amazing. Like, and that's how you bring in the fucking Old Republic.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's a way you wet your whistle. God.
Just skip
it was
over the
so
High Republic stuff altogether and go to some ancient Sith magic.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, make zombies. Bring zombies in. We need it. So
Yeah,
good.
fuck yeah.
Okay, and then I guess the last little question that I wanted to ask about this series as a retrospective is how much involvement, and you already touched on it a little bit, but how much involvement do you think Fennec Shand and Boba Fett are going to have going forward in the Mandalorian series?
Like I said, I think it's gonna just be like little one-offs. Like they'll kind of meet up, or we'll just have like an episode where it's like, here's the Mandalorian, psych, here's Tatooine for an episode.
Yeah.
I think that'll probably be the extent of it, because I don't know if they're gonna do another season. I mean, it was never set up to be an ongoing series. It was just a tie-in. So yeah, we'll definitely see him, but to what extent, I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly hope it will only be in little, like, you know, we need to round everyone up for that penultimate or final episode of a series, and then we'll get everyone coming together, you know, whether it's a Thrawn confrontation or whether it's, you know, getting back Mandalore or whatever it is. That's when I think we're going to see him come back into the fold in the show. Because again, they are friends, you know, so Din is going to be like, look, I need some help. And Boba's going to be like, hey, I got you, Holmes.
Yeah.
Joe Dart, thanks for joining live. That speeder chase was hot garbage. Yes.
Speeder. God, I said it before, I'll say it again. Like that, the fucking OJ chase was more exciting than that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
And the thing is, like, even if those were only like some 50cc scooters, you can still hit 35 in those motherfuckers. Even my fat ass could get 35 on those.
That's so funny. It was just like the slowest, most pointless chase, and it had like this high-paced music, if my memory is correct.
No, and even had like shaky camera and everything built up to be an act like what you do with a chase scene. Like, I think the only thing that would have made it worse is if they had streamers on their handlebars, because I feel like they wouldn't be straight out. They'd just be kind of like.
They had like little playing cards at the end of like their thrusters that just flips it back.
Oh God, that'd be
that
great.
might have made it worth it though, because they would have been leaning into the goof rather than trying to be straight. Ugh. Those everything about it was wrong and off. I just hate it so much. And like, to have a good chase scene, you have to care about something. You have to care about the people chasing them, or you have to care about the person being chased. And I didn't give a fuck about anyone.
No, they could have all got in a head-on collision and died, and I feel like the series would have been better after that.
Okay, the best outcome would have been they round a corner and he runs straight into the Rancor's leg. And it's just standing there just...
Yeah, then smash.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Just grabs him, crushes the damn thing. That would have been bomb. Instead, you get Boba Fett coming in the end like, well, that chase scene was pointless because I just could have jetpacked here. So, hey,
right,
you're mine now.
Yeah.
And then the dude never even tried to escape again. He was just like, okay, I'm with you now. What the fuck is the point of your character, man? Ugh.
Well,
Yeah,
to read the tank game to the person.
Fuck that dude, man.
Yeah.
I try to keep my my language even on this show, just for broader audience appeal, but fuck that dude.
I think that's something that as Star Wars fans, or even, passing Star Wars fans, we can all agree. Fuck that dude.
I think
that should be the next shirt. It'll just be a picture of him, like wanted poster style, and it just says, fuck that dude. Price, my soul.
All right. Well, let's do a little bit of HoloNet news before we wrap this thing up. Joe's with it, man. Fuck that dude. HoloNet news. Now, we have not done this series in a long time.
Been a fucking minute.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better way to start it than talking about the Skywalker saga of Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
I should have fucking taken the day off. I really regret that I didn't, because I'm going to be playing this the second it drops.
Yeah.
So fucking excited.
So this is a completely fresh remake and reimagining of all of those, because we've already had the prequel collection and the original trilogy collections, and they've already done like a whole, culmination of all of them together. But now, since the sequels have come out, they're like, well, we got to do that too. And they tried to do this whole wrap up of Star Wars, this Skywalker saga. Okay. I have problems with it, but that's why they sort of reimagined this whole thing, but it looks good.
Yeah, it's I will say the only thing that I'm kind of not feeling is, like, there's not at least from the trailers I've seen, there's not really a through narrative. I mean, obviously there's a through narrative, but like you can start at any point in the series. Like if you wanted to just jump straight to The Last Jedi, you could. And I mean, that's one thing that I liked about the complete saga, is it was literally beginning of Phantom Menace, you end with Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Like, and I feel like that's how it should have been. But everything else, oh my God, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I'm debating on whether I should do a playthrough of this, because I'm not going to have tons of time, but I could probably do a couple hours, on the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know.
I mean, it's a Lego game. All you need is a couple hours to blast through an episode.
That's true.
It's I mean, from my understanding, it's Lego's, typical shit of like, oh, new Lego game. All right, well, let's do more characters than the last biggest one and make it even bigger than the last one.
Yeah. I think I might do the mumble playthrough.
Yeah.
It's all just because, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I might. I probably will. I don't
know.
If
I knew how to stream from my Xbox, I totally would.
You gotta figure it out, man.
Yeah, I haven't got a headset, so you guys could just hear me say fuck, shit, fuck, God, shit. Because that's video games.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yes, no, fuck, no. At least back when I was a kid, I remember playing like the original Star Wars Nintendo games. And like, it's all a platformer. It's a side-scrolling platformer the whole time. And so it's just me screaming and like hitting my brother, and like, it's just like ridiculousness as a kid. But I loved those games. I thought they were great. I might have to do that as a playthrough. Like the old school.
Those are way harder than you remember.
Yeah. Well, everything's unforgiving back then.
Oh yeah, like there was no save points. There was no, oh, it's okay, you'll make it to the end. No, it's like you gotta fucking earn this shit. Like I fucking what was it? Super Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Trying to get through the Sandcrawler, man, that shit. Whew.
No, it's
kicked my ass every
easy.
time.
Yeah, those games are rough, but that's what we were raised on. So I don't know.
This you kids out with your save points.
Yeah, pussies. We had to earn an extra life. We were
the cheat codes.
Yeah, that's true. This releases April 5th, so that is in 2 days from this streaming. And I think we can do this as a tax write-off, buying it, as long as I stream it. So I might have to do it. Tax write-off.
I mean, hey, it's like $70 for the deluxe edition. So I mean, whatever.
That's a lot for a Lego game in my head.
I've spent more, so
really?
it's not that much. Yeah, dude, fucking Lego Marvel, like the big one.
Yeah.
That was like almost 120 for the deluxe edition, if I remember. It was worth it. Like that was one of the greatest games ever.
Dude, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next thing here on the roster coming out is Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming up.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, just seeing leaked footage very recently of him and Vader facing off was pretty exciting. Did you see that?
I did not.
It was pretty awesome. I mean, it's literally like seconds of a scene, but it was still just nice seeing the two facing off. It was very, very cool. We are going to be doing weekly episodes, throughout the course of this, as we do with every series. But I am really, really, really excited for this one. I mean, much more than anything else. Like, no one ever asked for a Boba Fett show. No one asked for Solo, even though I enjoyed Solo. Everyone wants Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like, it's in our DNA. You can't help it. We must have Obi-Wan, especially with Ewan playing him. It's just so
right. Like
good.
that's all anybody's wanted for the last so 30 years.
So that's going to be
whenever that came out.
Yeah, May 27th is going to start, which coincides with Celebration, which is coming out too. So I've never been to Star Wars Celebration. I don't really want to. I've always had this fear that it's going to be a bunch of like mouth breathers and it's just going to be this horrible, stinky, I don't know. I don't even know how to talk to other people on a regular basis, let alone be in a room filled with a bunch of freaky fans. I wouldn't feel right.
Yeah. I've heard plenty of stories of debauchery and stuff. Like, it'd be great if you were young and single.
Oh, really?
I will say that. Not quite God damn it, what's never mind, I just had a brain fart of what the other one is. Like there's one convention that it's like straight up like after hours, it's like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's
what?
Just crazy as shit.
I need to know about this Celebration.
Yeah. Celebration not so much, but I've heard plenty of crazy stories.
Oh wow.
I would definitely do a Celebration at some point, but it's, I don't know, like when I become a fucking millionaire, that'd be about the only way I could do it, because I would have to get the Sith pass, be there the entire weekend, and just blow my load on every fucking piece of swag they have.
That's the biggest problem about all conventions and festivals in general. It's all just a front to sell you shit. So, you have to do the price of admission, which is usually pretty steep anyway. But then all you want to do is buy the cool shit that's there and exclusively there, especially in Celebration's case. So you are going to be dropping a huge load of cash if you end up going. Because if you're just going just to be there, there's no point in that.
No, I mean, honestly, like having done quite a few conventions, like that is pretty goddamn fun. Especially like if you're really into like costuming and shit, like just walking around seeing the costumes, fucking fantastic. Oh, yeah. Like last one I went to, I was almost on the floor laughing my ass off because there were some people dressed as the Coven from What We Do in the Shadows.
Really?
They even had like a little stuffed Guillermo with them.
Oh man,
that was like the highlight of the convention. Like I met Kane Hodder, but still that group was the highlight of my convention.
That's funny. That's cool. I like that a lot.
And like the panels and shit, like if you're cool with sitting for like an hour and having somebody talk at you, like that shit's a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, you got to have at least a few hundred, if not a few $1,000s to like really experience some shit.
Jeez. Well, it is coming up. And of course, the last two, I think it was, have been, canceled because of COVID. Now I think everyone's just like, I don't care anymore. Let's just get sick.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Well, it's funny. Like so being a part of the 501st, I've been seeing, cause like the 501st is notorious for having their own swag for the event. They even have their own party at the event,
Oh
which
wow.
is and it's a big fucking deal. Like, because there's a lot of honorary members and shit, and if those honorary members are at the convention, likely they're going to be at the party, just fucking like everybody else.
Yeah.
But like the last piece of merch that I saw was a patch that was Star Wars Celebration finally happening, and then it has like all the years that it was supposed to happen crossed out, and then it says 2022.
Oh,
It's
cool.
dumb as shit, but awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is coming up. If you guys are interested, go check out StarWars.com for more information on that. Little quick shout out. Our own apparel is here.
Hell yeah.
It's infinitely less than anything you're going to get from you're going to be charged at Celebration.
And much cooler.
Yeah. And we have our I Am a Scruffy Looking Nerf Herder shirts. We have our logo t-shirt, but we also have those stylized just the icon, which is the Nerf skull and the Sith.
Still desperately need to get that.
Yeah, the Sith Brotherhood symbol behind that Nerf skull. Dope. It is awesome. So
it really
that's
is
there for you. If you guys are interested, there's a link in the description below to our Designed by Humans website. Okay, this is coming out. I have not read this excerpt that's available.
Nor have I.
I'm not entirely sure I care about this book, to be honest. I love Anakin and Obi-Wan, but I feel like I've gotten so much from them. And the excerpt from this is when I think it was Obi-Wan meets Ventress. But that was the very first Star Wars Clone Wars episode that was like a theatrical release of 4 different episodes. So why do we need a book about it?
Well, and how much are they going to change about it, too? That's the thing I wonder.
Right.
And it's so hard with me to give a shit about Star Wars books anymore. And that kills me. Like, that destroys me at my core. Like, if you look at my library, half of my shit is Star Wars books.
What was the last Star Wars book that you read that you were just like, this is great, I love this?
Fuck. That's a very good question. I want to say probably Lords of the Sith.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was, fuck yeah. Vader popping out of his tie like, fuck you guys. I don't need a fucking airlock. Boom, just jumps out, fucking starts fucking shit up in space, and then gets in the shit. God, it's just like, that is a fucking book.
Yeah.
And then they give us the High Republic.
Yeah. I think that was great. I think the last one I read that I thought it was right before that crossover to Disney was what was it called? It was the one about Palpatine. And like oh my gosh, what was it called? It was him being picked out by the Sith, and then Darth Plagueis finding him. Darth Plagueis.
Oh yeah, Darth Plagueis. Yeah. Okay.
So right over that transition of selling it, that book was out there. I thought that was so good.
That is definitely one of my favorite Star Wars novels.
Just such a brilliant story.
Perfect. And Uncle George tried to keep that from us. Like, that was held back like 3 times from being released.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a big fucking deal. He didn't want it released.
Why?
And because it's fucking George Lucas. He was real picky with everything.
Right.
And I mean, rightfully so. It's his brainchild and all that. But yeah, I don't remember what his deal was, but it got pulled like 3 times before it actually got released.
Oh, wow.
And it's one of the greatest Star Wars novels ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, the Darth Bane trilogy and Red Harvest and Death Troopers are just core badass Star Wars. They're so good. All right. Well, we do have another one. This is meant to sort of bridge the gap from everything that we're getting right now and that we know to the sequel trilogy. So this was heavily alluded to in the last 2 of the sequel trilogy films about Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian going and searching for Sith information, which is a strange pairing because I always saw Han and Lando as like super tight. I never thought Luke and Lando would be a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those pairings that it's like, really?
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, why go to Lando? Why not go to Han? If you're gonna play like that, they have a relationship. They're literally family. So why not? I don't know. The whole thing is weird. I guess it'll be explained. But there was an excerpt Did you end up reading it? I know we talked briefly about it.
I didn't. I got busy and completely spaced it.
So it's very Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
like Nazgul, like at the very end. But it's. Do you mind if I explain it briefly?
Do it.
Okay, so it's Luke Skywalker going to that same little Jedi place that Grogu went on to meditate,
Mhm.
except when he sits on it and starts meditating, he's taken to Exegol, or he's spiritually taken to Exegol. And there he meets these sort of Sith acolytes that are very much like Nazgul, where they all just come up and start attacking him. So he's defending himself, and then as right before he's like struck down or whatever, this other Jedi appears before him that he thinks is going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then after it defeats all of the other Sith acolytes, it turns to him, and it's his dad, uh, in the young dad form, the Hayden Christensen form.
Hmm.
So Revenge of the Sith looking Hayden Christensen form. So the idea that Force ghosts can manifest lightsabers and fight with them is new to me. And that kind of bugged me, like after thinking about it. Like reading it the first time, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's really awesome. His dad's helping him. Why wouldn't he? Of course, it's his son.
Mhm.
It's just we've never had that interaction before. And so it was a little bit jarring. But
Yeah.
then I started thinking, like, when the fuck could Force users create their own gear? But then, like, they're all clothed. So clearly material things are, in the Force.
Mhm.
I don't know. It struck me as weird. Did you ever think about that?
Sort of. When I'm trying to remember what book it was. I think it was from a certain point of view. It actually sort of explains what the like the whole corporeal experience. Because it's from, oh my god,
I
I
think
can't
it is
remember
the
if
from
it,
certain point of view where Obi-Wan is learning to do it.
yeah, and uh like he has to envision, or Qui-Gon is explaining how he actually comes to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has to actually like sit there and contemplate what he's going to look like down to every minute detail, otherwise he doesn't show up, type of thing.
Huh.
And I'm bastardizing the hell out of that story, but that's essentially what it is. So I don't know, with that story, which not isn't considered canon anyways, fucking Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoda's interaction in The Last Jedi with, summoning Force lightning, it really isn't that surprising to me that somebody would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fucking ghost, but I got a lightsaber."
Right.
Like ultimately it's just an extension of their will as a spirit, anyways. So whatever.
It does give us the opportunity of seeing an older Luke Skywalker later on,
Mm-hmm.
which, as a Force ghost, sort of like whipping ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that would be something that I'd want to see. But
Yeah, I don't want to.
I don't know. I just wish we could get George Lucas's sequel trilogy. Like I just want to see
Mm-hmm.
it, because I feel like it would be so much better than what we got. And it would be true to his vision, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is. It's his vision, and now it's something completely different. It's other
Yeah.
people's vision, and sometimes it just blows, and sometimes it's okay, but it's not. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking of Star Wars as a canon story unless
Mm-hmm.
it is from Lucas.
Well, and part of the problem too is like, say what you will about the prequels trilogy, it was a set story.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was an A to B, and it was all there.
Yeah.
Whereas with this last trilogy, it was fucking written on the fly, and
Yeah.
it feels like it. And that's not how you do filmmaking, especially from Lucasfilms
Yeah.
and from Disney, who
Fucking
does
Disney.
fucking Marvel.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel movies, but I can admit they're good fucking movies, and they have a solid through line from the beginning of fucking the experience with Iron Man 1
Mm-hmm.
to everything else that's come out. Like it is a solid line because they've had the plan. Whereas with this, it's like, oh, just do your own thing. We'll match it up with the next one.
Yeah. I'm with Joe. Last Jedi and Rise are hot garbage.
See, I think I don't entirely hate the Rise of Skywalker because of how much I hate The Last Jedi. It's like at that point they'd already shown us, yeah, we don't fucking care what you think. We're just gonna do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, I did like the look of Exegol, and the anytime you give a Sith, ancient Sith, anything, I'm good. Like I'm happy. So I did like that.
And then the Sith troopers, like, fuck, I want that armor so bad.
Yeah,
like that shit was dope as hell.
It was very Dracula in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Do you remember that?
You're saying that like it's a bad thing. Like I
just
want
mean
that
like
fucking armor
we've had
too.
that before, But yeah, no, it is dope looking.
Yeah, there's elements of it I liked, and if The Last Jedi would have been good, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But yeah, again, it's like being in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi was a concussion. I'm in the hospital. My jaw's wired shut. The Rise of Skywalker was I mouthed off and I got slapped. It's not as
But you
bad.
probably deserved it.
I deserved it. So whatever. I'll take it because it was just a backhand.
It was just Will Smith coming on stage and smacking you across the face.
Who hasn't wanted to hit Chris Rock? I mean, fucking Christ. Why? I don't understand why it's that big of a deal. Name one person that wouldn't smack Chris Rock if they got a chance. Exactly, you can't.
I probably wouldn't. I'm a lover, not a fighter, though. All right. What's next on our story? So that's coming out on the June 28th. So it's still a long ways away. But that is probably the only book that I'm really kind of excited that is coming out. That Disney has put out recently. And I ultimately will probably get into the High Republic stuff and read them. I'm just not really interested right now.
I will say it's probably a different experience if you read the comics. Because from what little I've seen in the comics, those are great.
Oh, okay.
But the books themselves, it's just, and the problem is it's Disney trying to do Disney, where if you don't read every single piece of information that comes out from the comics, the young adult novels, the children's books, none of it makes sense.
Oh, geez.
And it's fucking terrible. But I think if I had at least read the comics, it would have made a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because they will drop you, like, going from first book to the second book, they'll just drop you in and not explain anything.
Oh, wow.
But like there's this whole huge story that happened in between the two books. And like I had to go back and look shit up to figure out what the fuck I was reading. Right.
That's unfortunate.
So it's very unfortunate because I'm not fucking reading the rest of that shit.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Okay, well, is there anything else you want to bring up as far as news or Star Wars or anything?
Nah, I think we got it.
Okay, yeah, that's all I had. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching live. Joe, it's great to see you. If you guys want to support this show, the best way to do it is to actually subscribe to this YouTube channel. You would be amazed at the numbers that we get watching our content, but not actually subscribing. It's mind-blowing, and it just takes a little bit of class. That's all. Just a little respect.
Just two things. You hit the subscribe button, and then you hit the fucking bell.
That's it.
Easy peasy.
Super easy. Of course, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you don't, ignore it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, don't hit the dislike. Write us a nasty email.
I want a letter. I want a dated, stamped letter. So do your thing. Anyway, until the Infernal Brotherhood convenes again, may the Force be with you.
You can run, but you'll only die tired. That's not even canonical anymore. That's such a good fucking book. Karen Travis, man.